First, I'd like to direct the question to Scott Gray from Mitchell Press, commercial shop in Burnaby and British Columbia. Thanks for joining us, Scott. You guys can get the mic off, and you might want to grab that one down there. Scott, you're new to NexPress, having just installed one this past fall, so thank you for your business. Tell us a little bit about how you decided on the NexPress for your operation, key features, benefits. What drove you to make the decision about choosing NexPress as a digital printer for you?
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much for hosting this today. So we installed it a year ago, October, and we're traditionally a heat set web shop. We like to say we're a really fast perfecting shop. Commercial publications is our core business. So it was a bit of a step for us to move into the digital world. So we were thinking, okay, what do we need? Are we going to get a sheet fed? Are we going to get digital? So we like the features of the fact that it's basically half of an A1 press sheet. So and it can have all the features and it can do pretty much anything, or not quite anything, but most of what a sheet fed printer can do. So we're focusing originally on publications, but now we want to take a focus and push into the design teams. Designers have great demand that they want to have a toolkit that you can offer. So they're pretty demanding. They want metallics and all sorts of special effects. So that was another really big feature for us, was the 5th unit and the variability that we can offer there. So it really expanded into a new marketplace for us, and it gives us a really new market. Basically, it adds about 50% more capacity to our pipe stream. So one of my personal favorites is the fact that it's such a big press sheet. I come from a sheet fed background, so to me it was one of those moments where we've all seen the evolution into CTP, we've seen the evolution into staccato and all that, and this was another one of these aha moments that I see. This is sort of a next transition point for digital.
Thank you, Scott. And just to expand on that a little bit, we talked earlier in one of the panels with the designers and the creatives about where they're perhaps stuck with trying to understand what can print do, and certainly what you just described is an opportunity to reach out to designers and creatives. What are you guys doing to educate your clients about the possibilities for digital and offset as well?
Yeah, it's fun. We've got a couple of things in the pipeline we're working on right now, and I wish I could show you. I've got a project we're doing. It's got 16 different substrates on it. We're basically testing every single bell and whistle that we can put at this, and we're going to be putting it out to a very select audience of high-end designers. So we've got a lot of good connections that we want to leverage. We want to turn them into champions for us, and so it's really going to start creating a buzz. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, great start to that business. Thank you, Scott. Just turning a little bit from a new customer to a longtime customer here in town, Canfield and Tack commercial printer. Gary, representing the Canfield and Tack business. You're on your 3rd press, starting out with the 2500 some years ago, moving to the SE3000, and now with the newer ZX3900. Over that time, you've seen a lot of different applications that the press can do. Tell us a little bit about what's been the most successful print applications for your business, and what print enhancements are the most popular with your clients.
I think probably one of the best things for us was, in the beginning, was the variable data. And then that ability to do that gave us a chance to reach out. We lean more toward the high-end commercial side of printing, and it meant a lot for us to get a machine that not only was capable of reproducing high-quality images, but had different capabilities. So the other thing that really helped us a lot was the extended sheet. We were able to do some counter cards that we weren't able to do before. We did some die cut pocket folders, which we didn't have that ability to do before. And as the equipment's moved on, some of the advancements that it's made has been great for us. The HD inks was great for our customers, the light black. Also dimensional. Somebody brought up on an earlier panel that being able to feel the printed piece instead of looking at it digitally means a lot. And to be able to put down golds that glitter when you're looking at it, to have the dimensional that you can actually feel it. We have also the matte fuser roller that gives it a different feel to it. So all those enhancements has really helped us sell the product.
Fantastic. You have a mix of offset and digital, as several of our other panel members. How do you make some decisions around offset and digital? Are enhancements, or run lengths, or costs, or how do you balance out the decisions around offset and digital?
In the beginning, it was more run length, I think. And as time's moved on, we have a small format Heidelberg SM52, which basically takes a 1420 sheet size. One of the things I look at is, you know what, I have to take that in the pre-press, I have to make plates, I have to take that out there, the pressman's got to hang the plates. How much time is that going to take? I could just take that job and send the file right to NexPress and start printing it with quality that you can't tell offset today. And believe me, I come from an offset background, so when I first looked at digital, or first thought about putting digital in, I was like, you know what, it's never going to compete with offset. I'm not sure why we're even looking at this. But I remember the first piece of digital equipment I looked at with NexPress, I looked at it and the first thought was, wow, that's really impressive. The second thought was like, uh-oh, we got to get one of these. So I think, and it's been a good relationship ever since, and it's proved that point. I mean, we're able to do quality images in a timely fashion, and we're able to tap into smaller run length markets, which we weren't able to do before.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, that kind of feedback that both Scott and Gary gave us is the kind of thing that we try to look at every day when we're developing new products. I think a lot of our team, we see ourselves as translators from what the customer's needs are, and then going back to the engineering team, and I'll have a question for Dave in a moment, to specifications. And in the same way, we translate from this sets of DPI and features and functions into customer benefits. It really doesn't matter what those capabilities are if they don't provide you with any benefits at all. So my question, turning to Dave, is tell us a bit about how we use this voice of customer, both in a proactive and a reactive way, to influence our engineering roadmap.
Well, you're right. There's all these items have to go in one of two buckets, and the proactive ones are fairly interesting because they're also dangerous. You take something like HTML5. When we created the NexPress DFE, it was all Java-based. And I think everybody who's familiar knows some of the concerns that came up over the years with Java, and we realized we needed to get that out. So we had to essentially redesign the entire system to get rid of the Java. We went to HTML5. What we didn't realize by being proactive that way was some of the other benefits that we were going to get. So the usability and the speed and responsiveness of the system went way up, and people are able to benefit from that. Another thing that takes me back on being proactive is in the 1997, we were talking about 4-color or 5-color, and what were we going to do? And we decided to go with the 5th color station. We really didn't know all the things we were going to end up doing with it, but we knew it was a platform. We needed to prepare it for the future. We needed to prepare it for the upgrades. We didn't know what they all were going to be. We didn't know we were going to end up with 4 sets of CMYK inks. We didn't know we were going to end up with 8 different clear applications, which we do. We also have, I think we're up to 13 total 5th color inks. So it goes back to what John mentioned earlier when he was talking about NexPress. We didn't know all the things that we were going to do, and we've had to work over time to continue to enable them, and a platform approach does that. It lets you be proactive. It's also dangerous because we have to make sure we don't do technology push. The engineers and scientists are working in the lab, they have their aha moments, and they say, wow, we could do this, and we have to make sure that somebody wants it and wants to buy it. So it works both ways.
And the outreach comes to marketing. Hey, we've got this. Can you guys sell that?
Well, this is the reason I don't go anywhere to an event like this without a piece of paper, because I don't know when somebody's going to give me the item that they've got to have, right? And so I don't type very fast, so I keep my paper. Actually, Scott was very helpful when he found out he was going to be on the panel. He sent in his list of 17 things that he wanted, right? And here's the list, and I went through them all. I got 6 check marks you're going to see by the end of the day today. And I only
now that's turnaround time.
I only counted silver once because he wrote silver, silver, silver. Oh, did I mention silver? So I only gave 1 check mark for that. But you're going to see silver later today. We call it metallic now.
Well, another example of that, Dave, is the development of the dimensional, which a few of the panelists have mentioned. It was something we were perhaps toying with, but it was really at the request of a customer who said, I would like to do this.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about dimensional.
Right, so dimensional,
just as an example.
It grew out of a request. Somebody said, I've got an application. I'm willing to help support the funding of making it happen. And we gave them exclusivity for, I think it was up to a year. So we worked with them, we developed it, we gave them exclusivity, and then we opened it up. So customization ideas, as you enter all of your sales cycles with your local account manager, that's when our phones start ringing. Can we do this? Can we do this? And usually the answer is time and money. So it's a combination of those two. I almost never say no. I always say yes, but. And so those things have to be taken into account. So if you do have those customization type applications, we can start with that. And those tend to be differentiated features. You can start in a narrow way and then grow over time.
A really good example of how we've tried to take a feature and make it productive. And we'll talk specifically about productivity when we turn to the next two panelists between Ben and Phil. But dimensional as an example, we made this toner and put it in the press, and customers were able to take that and make a piece with raised letters, but it required pre-press work. And I remember the discussion with our customers and saying, this is nice, but I have to go design it. And I remember coming back to, all right, so we go to the technical team, and I said, I need the raise all button. You can't have to go back to pre-press. If the customer's giving you a piece of work, like even something simple like a business card or an invitation, to then send it back and say, now, can you add a fifth layer? That slows the process down and creates bottlenecks in getting work done. So if the operator could simply, in a job ticket selection, say, raise all, now we've got a productive way to do something meaningful. And we came to the technical team and said, guys, I need a raise all button. And
we made one.
We made one. Yeah. Fantastic. It's productive. So speaking of productivity, I'll turn now to Phil and Healy's, a large commercial printer in the UK market. You've got a strong mix of digital and offset in your operation, so productivity is clearly important to you. You face a wide range of competitors in your market. What is it about NexPress that helped you compete and remain competitive?
I got involved with Kodak on a very simple premise, is that I sent files to Hewlett-Packard and to Kodak, and I was expecting to order an Indigo. When the work came back, our entire workforce was invited to choose what was the best quality, press operators, pre-press. That took us direct to Kodak. So for me, quality is a given. We don't think digital or litho anymore, it's just print. 60% of what we do is still litho on Heidelberg XLs. However, our entire marketing is now based around digital, and particularly around the different features that we can offer. About a third of our business is to creative agencies, and it is said that our average customer is a 27-year-old female who knows nothing about print. So sorry about that, ladies, we accept that. We do see high turnovers of staff at these agencies, and so actually we view as part of our marketing educating these people. So we have seminars twice a month. We're going to see a major marketing group from one of the largest UK house builders. We'll meet 25 of them. What a fantastic opportunity. Each of those delegates will get a Healy's brochure. It'll be a case-bound ring binder, and it'll have every digital finish that we can produce in it. So we try to educate, we try to set the perception that we're different. We need to differentiate in quality and the sort of things we can offer from everyone else. I'm afraid the days of, I've got a printing press, have you got any printing? I hope I'm the lowest price, is unsustainable. Going back to the 27-year-old female who's grown up in the digital market, once they see the tactile nature or the possibilities of the tactile nature, they get quite excited. I'm finding in the UK that print is having a renaissance. And I mean, one of the great things last night that we took from Tad and from Frank There are two guys that have an enormous enthusiasm and passion. And I think things like that are irresistible to customers. And I think as printers, we've got to stop being apologetic for what we do. We add great value. We are a great resource to many businesses. And we've got to be proud of what we do and go out there confidently, because for me, there's still a great future. And that's the reason why I still get excited by technology that allows me to do what I couldn't do a few years ago.
Thank you, Phil.
Just one more thing. I also want to thank Tab, because I think it's made a huge contribution to the dating personal relation game. Any single men in the world have to go out and buy books, so that when they meet people and they take them home, if you've got books out, I think that could be a major impact on book printing. I think I better get rid of this.
You're going too deep. Fantastic. So a little bit different from the three of you with a mix of offset and digital. We're going to talk to Ben from Mimeo. Mimeo, all digital business, although you do outsource some offset. A large fleet of NexPresses in your hands, and a long-time partner of Kodak. More than a dozen machines. Many of these machines have well over 120 million pages on each one of them. So it's a huge business for you and for us as well. You know, we've kept those machines up to date. You've kept them up to date with us. Tell us a little bit about how the field upgrades have allowed you to keep this fleet in the U.S. and your expanding business in Europe, you know, growing and producing.
Yeah, so, you know, you guys obviously built a platform that you can continue to maintain, you continue to build upon, right? And so not only have you guys, you know, enabled us to do the maintenance on our end, right, and have some capability of ourselves, you guys have continued to increase the technology and have a continuous improvement platform from Kodak as well, right? So you guys continue to come to us and you know, enabled us to, you know, create higher yields and better quality and better productivity from the press. So I think that the relationship that we built with you guys, and probably most everyone else as a customer, with Kodak, right, it's certainly helped. That whole thing has been a synergy.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because having been in your shop and recognizing a few of the comments from others earlier today, you treat print as not a commodity. It's a product, but a manufactured product. Your whole environment is around the notion of being productive, maintaining the press uptime, and delivering a product in a fast turnaround. Now, what is it about your model, perhaps, that's uniquely linked to NexPress, or maybe the other way around? How has NexPress helped you enable your model of fast turnaround, high quality work?
Yeah, so we're much different than many of the printers here today. Many of the people here are high-end printers or print very high materials, or you know, one customer may print many things. For us, we really wouldn't exist without digital print, because our business model is about printing documents that are submitted today for tomorrow delivery, right? We have a full gamut of business, and we have a couple of different business models. We also do high-end photo books and calendars and cards and things of that nature. But by far, about 85% of our business is based on this, what we like to call document business, right? And it's these complex document orders with black and white and tabs and color, usually covers of some type, right? But again, the whole business is predicated on being able to place those orders by 10 p.m. tonight and receive that by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, right? So without digital print, without the strength and help of Kodak, we probably wouldn't get business today.
And thank you, Ben. And that's one of the reasons why we chose Mimeo as one of our first beta sites, along with Chris Russell for NexFinity. How has the beta gone for you? What do you see as the promise of NexFinity going forward?
So we've had the NexFinity Press in our shop for a couple of months now, and we're running it right along the fleet of other NexPresses that we already maintain, right? So we've honestly placed a lot of work on it. We've printed millions of sheets, right? We've been very happy with it. We've had good voice of customer from the operators, from our maintenance team. We have an internal and an external maintenance team, right? So we rely on Kodak, but we also have some internal guys to complete that maintenance. We've had great voice of customer from them. They think that, you know, there's definitely you know, an uptick in quality, right? And there's some uptime capabilities. When, you know, as everyone has said, when the press is running, we're all making money, right? We've been very happy with the quality and with the throughput. With any beta, right, there's been hurdles, but we've obviously knew that was, you know, part of the game plan as we embarked on this, right? And we've we've been extremely happy with the press and with the support we've got from the press, and we're super excited about the next level of NexFinity.
Yeah, and thank you, Ben. And you know, we along the way, and a few of you mentioned this, we've tried to maintain a level of upgradability in the press so that you can take advantage of digital front-end changes, hardware changes, software changes, new fifth inks, novel ways to apply those fifth inks. Those upgrades are things for you, Ben, that have taken place over more than a decade. You've kept all those machines up to the latest capability, and they're all running together, essentially interchangeably, which is fantastic. Now, turning to Gary for just a moment, you've taken advantage of some of those upgrades, but you've also replaced your machine to newer versions. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to replace the machine in some cases compared to upgrades?
Well, we did some upgrades the initial couple of machines, and then once it got to the point where we felt as though we were ready for a little more speed on the machine, the quality levels on the next machine weren't upgradable. And every step we took along the way, it was to, honestly, to take a few jobs out of the offset side of it and put it on the digital side of it. And the speed made a big difference for us along with the quality. So it's, I can see that coming up more and more for us.
And with NexFinity that you'll all see on the tours this afternoon, we needed to make a departure. There are a lot of things that are upgradable. Certainly the consumables, the dry inks, those things are retrofittable to all the machines in our portfolio, including NexFinity and NexPress. But with the new writing system, we needed to make a departure. We needed to have a new platform that is in of itself upgradable going forward. So certainly the software upgrades and hardware upgrades will carry forward. For a new customer like you, Scott, what do you see as your future of upgrades as you look at NexPress and you hear more and learn more about where we are going with NexFinity?
Well, we're really quite wild with the NexFinity, and I think that's something that we've got to keep our eye on for sure. We're basically backfilling a gap because we have been effective at 3,500 to 350,000 runs. Now we're great from 0 to 1,000, so we've really narrowed that gap. I think we need to get more feedback from our clients on specifically what they're looking at. Like, I may be super excited about the long format. Maybe we've had 15% of our clients that are really excited as well. I would encourage everybody here that if you have something like this in your shop, you've got to bring your clients in and unveil the curtain. Because like you spoke, most of the clients out there think of printing as this big black box. They submit it online and they expect it back the next day. As soon as they see what you're playing with and what you're dealing with and the technology behind it, they're blown away, and it gives them a little bit more respect. And and to Philip's comment, we're proud to be printers. I'm proud, damn it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure you are. And it's really cool because Kodak's helping bring sexy back to the press room.
Yeah, I like it, bringing sexy back to the press room. Okay. You might have a few things to say. And Phil, so to follow on to Scott's comment, he's trying to bring people in, show them what's capable. You mentioned that you've got seminars, you're bringing folks in. Are they latching on to some of those enhancements, or maybe it's just a way to get new business, even if they don't buy into them? What do you think the hit rate is for you on that?
I just think they're very, very surprised about how clean it is, the technology we use, all the different, we base it around, we do lunch, we do a morning session where we do a history of print, so looking at how long sort of movable type was with us, and how the time scales with technology are getting shorter and shorter. We then do lunch, and then we do a factory tour. We give them the ring binder with all the digital finishes, and we produce, somebody said earlier about the notebooks, we do a personalised foiled notebook for them to take away. We're doing everything we can to educate them. As I say, this differentiator for us is so important because, as Gareth Ward from the print business knows, the UK still has a lot of what I say is traditional printers. We're hoping for the good old days to come back. Well, I've got news for you, they're not, and in 5 years' time these will probably be the new good old days. So we've got to do something. It's inherent on our capabilities to change the way we do business. There's massive opportunities. I saw a speaker, a very impassioned speaker from a UK business called It Has to Be Brilliant. What a great name for a business, unless you screw up, of course. But But he actually said that his belief, and he was a guy in his mid-60s, that this is the golden age of print. So all we ask from our suppliers is to give us the tools to do a better job, to support our customers, to impress, to help them make money. Because as was said earlier, if Kodak do that, Kodak will have a sustainable future too.
Thank you. It's a great transition, Phil, because the last question I have is for Dave. And without divulging every direction we're going, tell us a little bit about the follow-on to Phil's comment around where we're headed into the future. Maybe some of those proactive things that we have planned for the long term and are really starting with NexFinity and driving long lives and things like that. Share a little bit about where we're headed.
Sure, and it's certainly not just NexFinity. Other than those aspects of the writing system, nearly everything that we are working on is going to be able to be put into the legacy NexPress units, which will continue in the portfolio, as well as the NexFinities. So we don't really have a need to isolate them from that perspective. When the NexPress system and the original architecture was created, it was built around the idea of the operator replaceable components, right? And one of the keys of that is to give control. So control can also be a dangerous thing because control must include knowledge. Right. Because if there's just a bunch of knobs you can turn or a bunch of parts you can throw at it, that's not going to work for either the printing community or for us. So putting the technologies into the operator replaceable components is key. And so we spent a lot of time and effort in the designs to ensure that those items carry a lot of the functionality so that as we design and redesign them, whether it's for quality or for cost reduction or for performance, everybody gets the benefit because the old one comes out, the new design goes in, and you start to get enjoying it.
Without changing the press.
No need to change the press. So, running the machine at 70 pages a minute when we started versus now we're up to the 152, those are essentially done with the same ORC technologies. Right? The idea that the cost per page when we started once upon a time was four-ish cents, and now we're going to be talking about a penny a page. You know, those kinds of numbers happen because of things like the ORC technologies changing. And those of you that have seen some of the new ORCs going over time, you know, we've had several versions of image cylinders, several versions of blanket cylinders, several versions of fuser rollers, and more to come. So,
and dry inks.
And dry inks. So when you see those, and you're going to see some new ones on the tours today, perfect example is going to be the pressure roller. We're working on a pressure roller. You're going to see that today. It's probably no longer going to need to be an ORC. One less thing to even need to deal with. So those would be examples of how we're trying to use the technology that we have, the aha moments that the scientists have, and make those things available for everybody.
And while it's true that things like imaging cylinders and blanket cylinders are not bringing sexy back, they are critical to driving down running costs. And while some of the advancements in new dry inks and producing just top quality, highly productive, you know, Ben, for example, at Mimeo, you're able to produce that same work on each machine in your fleet, day in and day out. If they reorder it, you don't have to go back to that machine. You can print it anywhere you want. That kind of reliability and consistency is what we're trying to design in. Maybe not sexy, but it's sure productive and profitable for you and everybody else on the panel. So those are the kind of things that we're investing in. So thank you all. Thank you all for your words and comments. I really appreciate you spending the time to talk to us about your experience with NexPress. Hopefully more NexFinity buyers and NexPress buyers among you and everybody in the crowd. Thank you all.